Cool. We're rolling. Welcome back to the Royals Review podcast. Dan and Rami have their fingers in other pies this week, so I am joined by our very good friend, Cena. How you doing, mate? Thanks so much for jumping on last minute. How's things going?
Yeah, man, all good. Always good to be jumping back on the pod. All good to me. We'll get into the Reading. We'll get into Reading, but apart from the blip the other day, things are going really well. So can't complain too much. What about
Good to
you?
hear, man. Good to hear. Yeah, I'm all good. Same old. Before we dive into the two previous fixtures, I wanted to get an overview on how you think Reading have performed so far this season. Like currently, we're obviously just sat below playoffs. We've got plenty to play for, but it does feel like the fan base is somewhat split on how this campaign is currently playing out. What are your thoughts on that? How do you think we've been doing so far?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? But overall, like I think the headline is really positive. Richardson's come in, gone. Everyone's saying we've gone from 20th to 7th, 20th to 7th, and yeah, it's true. Like we have results have been good. Performances sometimes haven't been so good, but we have been getting results. I can see why some fans are divided, but it wasn't that long ago we thought we might not have a football club, and now we're have a very realistic chance of getting promoted this season. Where that's facts, whichever way you slice it. So I'm personally pretty optimistic. I'm happy. I can see where some of the discomfort has come from, especially with some of the style of how we play, and obviously results like Mansfield the other night isn't going to help things. But overall, positive, good season. Let's build on it.
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, I'd love to make playoffs, but I think ultimately this season is about just like stabilizing the club. We've definitely got the foundations to build on next season if we don't reach the playoffs this season. And yeah, whether you like Richardson's, game plan, game management, it's definitely an improvement on what we had. So yeah, I think we're just going to have to sort of stick with it really and see where we get at the end of the campaign. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm somewhat optimistic about how this season can go anyway. Right then, let's dive straight into it then. Starting off last weekend, Luton away. What were your thoughts on the performance? We started pretty solid, didn't we?
Yeah, it was a great game for the neutrals. A very difficult one to watch for anyone supporting either side. It was a bit of a strange game, I think, wasn't it? But
yeah,
we seem to have. I think I saw something that we've scored the most away goals in League One this season, but that's still true or not after Mansfield. I'm not sure, but we seem to have comfort away from home. Marriott being out was always going to be a struggle, but I think we played well. It was one of those games where it could have gone either way, and in other seasons, Reading would have probably lost that game. But we stuck in it. We were gritty, and the substitutions kind of changed everything as well. And nicking 2 last-minute goals was fantastic. A victory from the jaws of defeat. So it was a very up and down game. One of those ones where you kind of finish and it feels like a bit of a whirlwind, but it feels like we're always on the wrong side of those results as the Reading fan over the last few years. And now to be on the right side of them, that Bradford and then Luton, it feels like there's more resilience in the team than I think we thought. So yeah, from my point of view, great. Very
definitely.
positive.
Yeah, I fully agree. Like you're right. It's usually us even before the Bradford game, it was us that was conceding in the 96th minute, 2 games in a row. So yeah, it was definitely nice to be on the other side of things. But yeah, I thought we sort of, we started solid, obviously went behind, and then you just start thinking, oh my God, it's going to be that kind of game. We're that kind of team again. But we recovered fantastically, really. It, like you said, Richie's impact coming on, which we'll come on to in a second. Like he was fantastic. But let's start with Kelvin. Hattrick. He's got a lot of stick recently. Richardson had a few comments on the sort of few days leading up to the match. He comes on, scores within 5 minutes, ends the game with a hat-trick. Second hat-trick for us Reading fans to see this season.
Yeah.
I mean, I think before that, I think the previous hat-trick, someone can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but it was George Puskas. So it's been a while since we've got to see a Reading hat trick. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Kelvin? Like I said, he's had a bit of stick recently, but it was a good hat trick, wasn't it?
Oh, I'm buzzing for him. I'm a big fan of Kelvin, even if we don't agree on all the same things. But I know there's parts of the Reading fan base about his work rate, and I get that as well, and his touch especially. But I'm so happy for him. I think that's his first senior hat trick I think I saw, and to start the game with Marriott out, he's such a big loss. Filling Marriott's shoes as massive. There must be so much weight on his shoulders to step up to the mark, but that's what strikers thrive off as well. So, and the goals were phenomenal as well. So much composure in the finishing. He looked like a class act out there. Buzzing for him and fully deserved. It's been a long time coming, and I really hope that he can continue to perform like that for us, because we've always had conversations about, is Kelvin a striker? Is he better off the left? Last season he well coming off the left, and now Marriott's obviously putting everyone in the dust because he's so good. So it was like, where's Kelvin going to go from here? Is he going to stay with the club? But I'm so happy for him, and just buzzing to see that result for him. And he looked made up at full time when he was being serenaded by the fans as well, which is great to see.
Yeah, it was really good to see. And I like what you said about his goals being phenomenal. I mean, they weren't exactly like screamers, like Lewis Wing-esque bangers from 40 yards or whatever. But put yourself in Kelvin's boots. It's the 94th minute. He's been slated for the last few weeks. He's got huge boots to fill with Marriott being out. And he's literally 1v1 versus the Luton keeper. And he's got to slot it in to get 3 points and complete his hat trick. Like you're right. You've got to have a lot of composure to finish something like that. So we weren't actually watching the game, but when that notification came through on my phone, wow, we were buzzing. I was with Dan at the time. We were buzzing. Just moving on to Richie's impact as well. What do you think of him over the last few weeks? Again, another player that's got a bit of stick and hasn't really sort of been up to scratch or hasn't really hit the levels that people were expecting him to reach since signing for Reading. But the Bradford game, the Luton game especially, he made all the difference, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll call it what it is. He hasn't, as you said, been quite up to scratch with what Reading fans would have wanted this season. He seems to sort of come on, bark a few orders, maybe get carded, maybe pick up a knock, and not give too much to the game. But I was excited for him to sign for Reading because he's such a great leader. And I thought, even if he can't play 90 minutes, he's a good impact sub. He can lead people on the pitch when we need that. He can rally some of the young players. And I think he's starting to show that now. And his quality's coming through as well. I mean, that assist for Kelvin's second goal against Luton, the little outside of the foot cross was just beautiful. It's something that, we've got a few great technically players in the squad, but to have that coming off the bench is fantastic. So I'm really glad for him that he's starting to put some good performances in for Reading, because him and Kelvin were getting a stick, especially Matt Ritchie as well. So I'm very happy for him. I think he can be a great leader for us coming towards the end of the season. Hopefully he keeps it up and just keeps coming off the bench and producing those sorts of assists and running at defenders, because he can be a great asset. Those performances in the last few games, I think, is what every Reading fan had envisioned him being like this whole season. So when he wasn't, it was frustrating, but it's starting to show now at the right time as well, coming towards the business end.
Yeah, I fully agree. He brings a lot more than just like his footballing ability when he plays as well. And that assist was insane. I mean, I don't think there's many players in League One that are going to be pulling off those sorts of assists. Modric-esque.
Yeah,
it was insane, wasn't it? And a really good finish as well from Kelvin. That leads us on really to Tuesday night's fixture against Mansfield, which wasn't so good. Do you want to talk us through that performance?
I mean, we were speaking about it, and it's just honestly nothing good to say about it, to be honest. It's because of how well we've played recently, and I've seen a lot of comments from a lot of Reading fans being like, it's a bit of a blip. It was a bad day at the office. And I think you're right. It is a bad day at the office. Luckily, we've got a game around the corner we can bounce back from. But it was terrible. We had a few great chances in the first half. Kelvin couldn't sort his feet out. Doyle couldn't sort his feet out. Savage missed a fantastic chance this 15 minutes in, we were saying it could have been put to bed at half time. And then the second half performance from Reading was the poorest half of football I've seen from Reading all season. That it was so bad. They were completely inept, no character, no quality, barely had the ball, deserved to lose the game in the second half. It hurts, but you don't take your chances, you're going to get punished. And that's exactly what happened. And it's just a shame to lose such a scrappy, stupid 1-0 game when it could have been put to bed by half-time for us.
Yeah, it's super frustrating, especially having the momentum from Bradford and Luton, both of which are two, pretty solid teams in this division. You think the players would sort of be up for going to Mansfield, and if we won that match, we'd be well in the playoff positions. We still sit outside it now and have let Plymouth sort of catch up, and they look fantastic. Yeah. But I think, individually, some of the worst performances I've seen from this group of players in that Mansfield match. We just had no energy. Like you said, the finishing was terrible. It felt like we had all of our chances within the first 15 minutes and we squandered all of them. And the only player that seemed to offer anything going forward was Randall Williams. But he looked like he was playing about 3 different positions throughout the whole game. So, yeah, it was. Yeah, I think the players have really, really got to hold their hands up there and just, look back on that and think, how are we going to let that happen again? Because you can kiss goodbye to the playoffs if you're going to throw games like that away.
Yeah, definitely. And it was just a strange second half to watch. Like, they just sleepwalked the whole second half, and Richardson's substitutions weren't inspiring either. I mean, Lane came on and did what Lane usually does and not do much. Patton came on, who's, I think, is a great young player, but he looked out of sorts as well. There just wasn't. It never looked like for a second in that second half that we were going to do anything. And it was just like we had completely given up, which is just crazy to see, especially, as you say, the performances of late with some last-minute goals. But, credit to Mansfield. They were tough to play against. They came out on the attack in the second half. They didn't really give Reading a chance to get out. I mean, Reading didn't help themselves, as we just said, but they saw the game out in a windy, scrappy, rainy 1-0. So they did what they had to do, and we didn't have any answers for them. We didn't even ask any questions of them in the second half, which is shocking.
Yeah.
Plymouth are in great form, so it's it'll be an interesting one to see how the players react, but a great opportunity nonetheless.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, fair play to Mansfield. They completely dominated us, and that was reflected in the stats. I'm just looking at the Who Scored website now. That was one of Wing and Savage's. So I think what I noticed really was it was the midfield that was just like particularly off. I feel like Burns and Ward in defence, they had all right games. O'Connor was okay. Pereira, bit dodgy with his feet, but he played, he made some fantastic saves, which kept it at 1-0. But the midfield, not good at all. I thought that was one of Wing's worst games. Well, it was one of Lewis Wing's first games. He picked up a 5.95 rating on Who Scored, which is his second worst this season. And it wasn't too much better from Savage, unfortunately. But yeah, like you said, hopefully they can forget about that, move on and bounce back for the game against Plymouth. What do you think went wrong though? Like, Richardson was blaming the wind. I don't think that's really a valid reason. I don't think anyone does, including himself, to be honest. But it's just, it's strange watching us play so well against stronger teams and then get completely dismantled by weak teams, with all due respect to Mansfield. But, I think everyone was probably expecting us to go up there and come back with 3 points. So, what do you think, what do you think is going wrong? Like you said it was a bad day at the office, but could it be more than that potentially?
I mean, we've had a number of these kind of performances this season. I expect before we had obviously a great run over Christmas, and then there was a bit that lull kind of in January, early Feb, where we conceded late against Bolton, disappointing 1-1 draw, disappointing 1-1 draw, or was it 0-0 against Exeter? There were a couple of performances, a few performances in a row where we just didn't really, we got battered at Wimbledon. There were a few performances in a row that just stunk of what we saw on Tuesday against Mansfield. So it might be something a bit deeper, but just like for me, I think it's a lack of leadership. I think these are the times when second half you're not playing very well. Maybe go 1-0 down with half an hour to play, 20 minutes to play. You're away from home. It's a wet pitch. I mean, the sides of the pitches were awful. The ball was barely going off the pitch. There was mud everywhere. It was windy. That's when you need your leaders to step up. You know, your Matt Ritchies, your Lewis Wings, the guys wearing the armband, your O'Connors, Pereiras. These are the guys that we look to, I think, or the players will probably look to step up in those moments and pull a few shirts across the pitch in your team and get them fired up, because there just seemed to be, as I said, they slept the whole second half. I didn't hear anybody shouting at each other. I didn't hear any aggression from the Reading players, and
like no one really stepped up to grab the game.
Yeah, you see a bit more leadership, I think, and just didn't see that. I think that was just the main thing I saw, or the thing I didn't see was just a complete lack of leadership from them. And even Richardson on the sideline, just he wasn't as animated as he usually was. I don't know whether there was something in the water there, but it could be a deeper issue. There were a few performances like that we've seen in the last couple of months, but again, we've also had some phenomenal performances. The run of games we've had before Mansfield was fantastic, and I'm sure we'll bounce back against Plymouth. And we've got a good squad. Hopefully hopefully Marriott isn't too far away and we can sweep that one under the rug. But it's worth analysing, because that can't happen again. If we again, as you say, we perform like that again, you can kiss the playoffs goodbye, and then we'll just end the last 6-7 games just like sitting around the middle, just not having anything to play for. So yeah, but what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think we're just, like you said, we've had some terrible results, but on the flip side, we've also had some fantastic results. We've seen some great stuff. I think that just screams that we're just a little bit inconsistent. And I don't know whether that's because we've had a lot of changes. You know, there's a lot of new players in this squad. I think it's just a mixture of everything. I definitely think, you know, certain players can step up in those positions, in those situations, and, you know, grab the game by the balls and change it. But we didn't see that. And I think a perfect example of when we did see it was when Matt Ritchie came on against Bradford. Like, he just went 110% for like 15 minutes and picked up. Did he get an assist and a goal? But, you know, he changed the game and he won the game for us. Like that. That's the exact sort of performance. I know it's slightly different with this Mansfield game. We were 1-0 down, but yeah, like I mentioned, it just didn't no one really like stepped up. And we deservedly left with 0 points.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
Yeah, for sure. I think also, you know, I don't mind the inconsistency in some results. Like, yes, we're going to lose games. Yes, we're going to win games. Like, this is League One. It's scrappy. You just have to win them and get out. But it's maybe like the lack of fight, like the way we lost that Mansfield. If we had lost to Mansfield 1-0, we threw the kitchen sink at them second half. Fine.
Yeah, exactly.
The manner of the performance is what I'm questioning. But yeah, it's just one of those ones. Hopefully it's swept under the rug, we learn from it and bounce back.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. And I think the players will as well. Like they'll look back at the highlights from that and just think, look at us playing. Like, that is just, we're not doing anything here. So hopefully, you know, that's a lesson learned. We're still in a fantastic position, still got, you know, a lot of games that can shoot us up into the playoffs. So hopefully that's one that, you know, gives them a bit of a kick and, you know, makes them think that they don't want to repeat that again. Right. Enough of that anyway. Plymouth at the weekend, another huge game. What's your score prediction? They're flying at the moment, aren't they, Plymouth?
They're playing well. I think it could be a good game, and I think we need a bit of reaction. I'm going to go for 2-1 to Reading.
Very optimistic. Very optimistic. Yeah, I think, you know, just off the back of that last performance, I think, and how well Plymouth are doing, I think if we could literally just, even if we get a 0-0 or a 1-1, like if we can get a draw, if we can keep a clean sheet, that would be, in my mind, that would be a good result. You know, keeps a little bit of distance, maybe gives the players a little bit of reassurance and a little bit more momentum, showing that they can defend well and keep a clean sheet against one of the more informed teams in the league. So yeah, I'm thinking I'll happily take a draw and I'd happily take a 0-0. I know that is extremely boring, but sometimes that's just the way that it's got to be, right?
I think so. And we've got Plymouth are a good team. Could be happy with a point, then have to go and beat Burton, and then the big one is Stevenage in a couple games' time away, which is absolutely massive. So I think just if anything, I think we just need a couple of this game, Plymouth and Burton. We need 2 good performances, 4 points. I'll be happy with 2 points, but good performances and goals. We just need to be set up well going into the Stevenage game. I think I'm wishing ahead. I'm wishing games away, but the Stevenage one's what I'm looking at in a few games. But I think good performances against Plymouth and Burton, get 4 points from them, beat Stevenage, get into the playoffs, and we're getting up there. But it's as you say, every match is so important now, every point. So that's why every performance, every player needs to step up and not have a repeat of what we just saw a couple of days ago.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Yeah, obviously Plymouth, Burton, Stevenage, then Wigan, the next 4 games. Getting 6 points from Bradford and Luton
huge
was huge. If we can get a draw against Plymouth and then beat Burton and Stevenage and then ideally pick something up against Wigan at home as well, I think we'll be in a pretty good position. But yeah, you're right. Getting that win against Stevenage will be vital because we've got the likes of Huddersfield, Cardiff, Lincoln, all looming on the horizon towards the end of the season. So yeah, I can't see us picking up as many points in those last few games. So yeah, a really important run of fixtures. Now we're at the business end of the season.
Yeah, for sure.
That's pretty much it, mate. We've got one question submitted.
All right.
Do you think Reading will make the playoffs this season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always optimistic, and I think the thing about Reading this season, especially since Richardson's come in, is that Reading has surprised us in good ways as well. Like Kelvin hattrick, that 3 against Luton, the Bradford win, some great performances. Battered Plymouth away on New Year's Day or around Christmas, whenever that was. So we have been able to surprise. They've been able to surprise us with some great performances, which makes me think that I think we could do it. So I am going to say yes. I think we're going to sneak it into the playoffs in 6th.
Yeah, I really hope you're spot on there. It's just that point of the season that if you want to, this is what everyone's watching now. Doesn't matter if you've had a fantastic start to the season, but this is, like I said, the business end. You could have had a terrible start to the season, and if you pop up now and start banging in a few goals and bringing back some points, you're going to be going down as I don't want to say a legend, but like for this season, you'll be the ones to remember. So you know what, I'll level with you on that. I think we could definitely nick that 6th spot. I feel like that 6th spot is the only spot that's really up for grabs. But I think, it will probably be between us and Plymouth, which just makes that match this weekend even more important, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think Stockport have slipped a tiny bit. It looked there, 5th and 6th could potentially be up for grabs. But you're right. There's our form would suggest that we're one of the teams, and Plymouth, who are looking good for the playoff spots because we've played really well over the last 7-8 games, and so Plymouth. So as you say, it's a huge game, and I think we can just about do it. But we need Marriott back soon. We need a bit more leadership on the pitch, and I think we'll be there.
Yeah, I guess we can't forget Wickham as well. They're sat in 9th, just a point behind us. So yeah, they're well in the runnings as well. But getting Marriott back will be huge. I think Rami put out a post earlier this evening saying that he'll be at least 2 weeks. So hopefully that means he'll be back within 3 weeks if we're being optimistic. But yeah, getting Marriott back will be massive, especially in a few weeks' time when those more difficult games are popping up. Yep. Right, thanks so much, Cena, for joining us. Great to have you on. You're welcome anytime, obviously. Everyone, like, comment, subscribe, leave some questions for the next one. And until then, can't remember what Dan says. What does he say? Come on, you are.
Yeah. Cheers, James. Always great chat, and come on, you are. Let's beat Plymouth this weekend. Nice one.
Nice one, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.